Okay, for this week, I want to talk about interface design, and your homework will be analyzing web pages, and I want you to find one good web page that you think is designed well, and then I want you to find one bad web page that is poorly designed. What I want you to write about is the different concepts that I have here: the contrast, unity, feedback, typography, metaphors, navigation, and consistency. Now, these are just general terms that you can use to describe any part of a design, and you don't have to use every word in your writing or anything like that. But what I want you to do is just analyze different web designs and kind of come up with what you think is good and why you think it's good. And how you do that is just by looking at websites and making decisions. Now, when we talk about contrast, we're looking at the visual contrast between usually light and dark, and are you able to see things and things like that. There's an article about contrast here. There's some tools down here that you can click on that'll show you different ways of analyzing contrast and things like that. Unity is everything on the page working together. There's some reading right here about unity in the page. Feedback is kind of basically giving the user hints on what to do. In this case, when you roll over maybe one of the navigational buttons, they change color. It's feedback. It's telling me, oh, you can do something here. There's some reading there. Typography is the use, of course, of the letters that you see here against the background. Is the typography readable? Later on we'll actually have a little bit more about typography. I know last week we had a lot of typography examples. Metaphor is not necessarily used in all design, but it's a way of having sort of icons or images represent something else, and you can read about that. Navigation is how somebody goes through a page. As you can see, when we click on things and go through a page, that's navigation. How do people click and move from one area to the other? And we'll look at some DVDs and things like that tonight. What else? What was the last one here? Oh, consistency. Are the buttons placed in the same spot on each page and things like that? So I want you to find one good design and write about that, and I want you to find one bad design and write about that. And of course the bad one, you say, well, there's not enough contrast, I can't read the text, or the pages are all different from one area to the other. There's no real feedback on the links. They don't really tell me that they're links, or I don't know where what's going on. Typography, I can't read the text, or metaphor, this fish is not a perfect icon for a fire. I don't know. So write about these concepts. There's a whole bunch more of reading, and I have some samples here. I really enjoy this Don't Click It one, which is a great one where you talk about not clicking anything. It's just moving the mouse around it, and that's why it's called Don't Click It. So you move your mouse over. You do click once, where it says click here for the starting, but there's some feedback right there. See how I roll over and it changes color? Okay. There's some text in the background which I cannot see and read. It says, within this interface you won't find any buttons. Instead you will navigate the content in a different way. And then this is really hard to see, and I can't see it. So there's poor contrast right here in this text. But if I click here, you can see the interface is all with the mouse over. There's no clicking. If you do click, you'll get, and then you don't know what to do. You come over here and you see some feedback telling me what to do. Accidental click. So this was a nice example of a different kind of interface. Let's look at some other ones. Oh, I have the Chipotle Burrito. Again, it's a kind of nice layout. We didn't really talk about white space in any of the examples that I have listed, but the key here is that when I go from one page to another, does it stay consistent? The logo is still up here, the navigational bar is down here. The layout is kind of the same down here. Let's see. Oh, they're using a book here as a metaphor. As you can see, they have little tabs that takes you to different parts. So once I'm inside Food with Integrity section, I have a little book down here that tells me about that. Mostly this is a video or something. I don't know what this is doing. Am I doing something when I click? It's going somewhere. Okay, here we go. We still have our logo here. Our navigation stays the same here. So as far as and then there's white text on a brown background, very nice, consistent. I don't know, they have some buttons you click on up here, but they also have buttons over here, and then they have buttons down here. So there's a lot of different buttons, and I might get confused because there's a lot of information on this site, and that's probably one of the biggest common problems with most websites, is that they have too many links or too many buttons for you to click on. It's a common problem. So that's another example of, I would say, okay design. I think there's a little bit too many buttons, but at least they're consistent with the logo in the corner and things like that. Let's see, do I have any other samples? I put some samples in here somewhere. What is this one? Oh, this was a cool interface design where you can change the look of the and as you click, you get more information about what people are writing or tweeting about. You can list like this. You can list by what they're saying. You can list by montage. You can click on, I don't know, whatever is here. Isn't this a movie? Okay, so this was a kind of a cool kind of interface design example. I like that one. What else do we have here? Let's talk a couple more good ones. Let's see what this one's a good one here. Okay, this looks like a design studio. The purple with the color that we have here is nice and consistent. We really didn't talk about color in there, and it doesn't fit within my window here, so let's move it around a little bit. They got the buttons here. When you click on them, oh, these buttons are a little bit hard to read with the highlight over top of it. But they got buttons here, they got buttons here, they got buttons here, and then now they're, no, I guess these aren't buttons down here. At least when I click here, it just changes down here. So this is not too bad a design here. What would I say if do I like it or not? I think there's a little bit too much probably as far as click here, click here, click here. One of my biggest problems is always trying too many things to click on. Yeah, I guess my website's probably like that too. I got too many links. But at least I stay consistent. Let's see here. Is it going to my site? It's trying to. I guess my website's not working now. My class website is okay, but when I did a test of my school website, my program website, and the contrast, when there's a contrast tool, it comes up, this has poor contrast, and it kind of, I could see that, you know, at least here where this text is over top of the pictures and things like that, and plus I think it's programmed a little rough. I don't know why my website's not working right now. As far as bad web design, well, let's do good a little bit more. I think the missioncollege.edu website, a very nice design. This was the webmaster at the school at Mission College is actually one of my students from several years ago, and you know, he has nice simple buttons over here on the side, so navigation is primarily over here, getting what you want, and Maria is right here. She was one of my students at one time, and so this is I think a good example of web design here at Mission College. Simple kind of navigation right here. Click on it and it gives you some more information. After you click on it, the buttons kind of go up to the top up here, but they stay the same. If you click from there, and then you go to departments, and then you go to schedule and catalog, missions and records, and about us. It's pretty simple navigation. This is done by Ken Oda, which is one of my students, and I think it's a fairly good site with just the navigation across the top and then some links down here, but it's definitely consistent. Colors, nice contrast. Unity means that it all kind of works together. It fits on my screen. It doesn't require you to have a super large monitor and things like that. Same with my site. I try and keep it very simple. There's basic navigation at the top. When you click on there, you get the list of the classes. When you click on there, you can just click on what you're interested in. And then I try and keep all my navigation right here where you go to lessons, click on a lesson, just read, and that's all I want you to do is read there. And that's about it. There's no further having to go. If you do have a link to another article, I try and open up into a new window that's over top, and then when you're done, you click and close it. So I use black text on a white background, which is probably the easiest to read. What you want to try and avoid is light text on a black background for body copy for information like this. So I think mine is a fairly good one. The West Valley one, it's getting redesigned. It's trying to be a little bit better, but let's talk about the West Valley College website briefly. I would say it's an example of probably poor design. It's very cluttered. Text right here is all jammed together. Look at that. You can barely read it right there. It's all jammed together. So that would be, the text is not very legible, at least right there. The biggest problem I find with the West Valley site is there's too many links. You know, you got your links along the top up here, and then they got the same links over here to the same stuff. So, you know, and then they have links down here, and they have links down here. So the whole page is like 1,000 different links, and you don't know where to go. So the unity is really poor. You know, when you go to a section, let's say we go to transcript request, and now it looks like a totally different site. Okay, because now the navigation is smaller and changed, and so I would say there's plenty you could write about this one about is how poor design it is. It's just that think about the concepts that are there. There's plenty of great websites that you can go and analyze. For websites that suck, there's a link on my website. I don't know what happened to my link here. Going back like crazy here. Oh, here we go. There's a good link down here that's to web pages that suck, which is a kind of a good. So this is an example. This used to be a fun thing that we used to do many years ago, and it's been around for 15 years, as you can see. And they would have, you know, the worst website. They have good examples of good websites and then bad examples of bad website. Worst websites of 2009. Let's see what those are. They probably changed them all. I guess if do they have examples? I don't know what this is, but I'm sure you can find some poor examples on the worst websites of 2009. Oh, I guess we don't want to see that one. Poorly designed site there. University of Idaho Art Center. Well, that doesn't look too bad. I think they probably changed it. See, I think, yeah, here's the old one, and then they made a new one. So I guess probably looking at the old ones and the new ones, I'm sure, you know, once they get this reputation of being a bad site. Let's see. Worst websites of 2010 direct links. Okay, let's see. Stinker websites. Worst websites of 2010. Let's see. Catch me if you can. Again, you have no idea what's going on with this site. It doesn't tell me anything. So think about, you know, you don't have to analyze it too much. Just think about what you think makes a good website. What makes a bad website. It's all your ideas. You don't have to, you know, this is not something you have to, just write down why you think it's a good site or why you think it's a bad site. Think about some of the examples that I've shown. Think about some of the key concepts that we've talked about already. Yeah, this is a pretty bad site. I have no idea what it is. Back away. Look how small these buttons are. Can you really see them? Well, they have a YouTube channel. So think about that and just write an email about what you think and send it to me.